That's amazing. Over now to Helen, who has news of a very exciting launch.
I'm here in Limerick with consultant radiation oncologist Dr. Lorraine Walsh. Lorraine, we spent the morning with you at your clinic, a very busy one, but they're all busy.
Absolutely, Helen. There are nearly 5,000 referrals into the symptomatic breast unit here in Limerick every year. And unfortunately, out of that, then 300 patients are ultimately diagnosed with breast cancer, many of whom need to go on to have a mastectomy.
Barry, you're one of those patients. You were diagnosed with breast cancer last year.
That's right, in May, and I had a mastectomy then in June.
And how have you been since?
Great. All good, everything back to normal.
All good apart from one little thing that was annoying you, Bar.
That's right. When I went to see Lorraine and we were chit-chatting, she asked me about the prosthesis and I said that I didn't like it. It was like wearing a bulletproof jacket every day.
Just very uncomfortable?
Very uncomfortable, very heavy, very just not your body.
And Lorraine, this wasn't the first time you had heard a complaint about them.
Not at all, unfortunately. That's actually a really common complaint for patients as they're nearing the end of their breast radiotherapy, to complain about the weight of the breast prosthesis that they then ultimately have to wear.
So between the two of you identified a problem and you identified a group of people who could help. And Dr. Kevin G. O'Sullivan from the Rapid Innovation Unit in UL, you're one of those people. Now, you use 3D printing in a hospital setting, so you were challenged to 3D print a breast prosthesis.
Absolutely, and I suppose we're delighted to take up the challenge. So what we do is take technologies we were already using within the hospital group, and how this is created is to take a 3D scan of the anatomy, so to take the scar site where the mastectomy took place, and then to take a scan of the residual breast in the bra so that we can see the patient's actual shape. We then use that to mirror across to make a perfect mirror image of the breast and something that has the perfect contours of the body on the backside so that it fits perfectly, comfortably to the chest wall when it's made.
And when all that information is given to the 3D printer, it makes you the prosthesis.
Yes, it does. It's a tool like any others. I suppose what you get put into it is what you get out of it.
And a lot of work went into it, and selecting the right material was a big part of that.
Absolutely. So there's a huge amount, it's not just the shape and size, but also the feeling of it, the softness or hardness, the edges, how it sits in the body and how it reacts when you move.
And measured exactly for Bar, and so much so, you've got one of the prototypes here, so much so that it's measured exactly to sit against Bar's chest wall comfortably.
Absolutely. So this is completely bespoke to Bar, and it will fit no one else in the world. So this is the whole point of, I suppose, using 3D printing to make these rather than a generic off-the-shelf.
Weight was important. Why was that, Kevin?
It's hugely important. So, naturally the weight of the breast is held by the skin over the shoulder and down to the back, over the top, and if you take away that tissue and just replace it with the same amount of weight in a silicone prosthesis, it just sits there like a lump, and the perception of weight is completely different.
Barry, you were involved in the entire design process and you tested out all of the prototypes until you found one you were really happy with.
That's right, yeah. Every few weeks, Jude and Siobhan would come out with different ones and road test them and give them a mark out of 10, and then I got the ultimate one. Perfect.
And how long have you been wearing the ultimate one?
About 2.5 months now, and it's just back to normal. Don't even think about it.
It's made a huge difference.
Absolutely. Oh, it's just great.
That's fantastic. This is something that's been launched tomorrow, but there'll be women all over the country watching this and saying, I'd like one of those, please. When can they get one?
Absolutely, and hopefully soon. So I suppose we're very fortunate to have got the funding for this pilot service from the Public Service Innovation Fund, and we're also very fortunate we have a gifted young PhD researcher, Jude Lyons, who's funded through Breakthrough Cancer Research, who's working on the development of this, because it is research, so it'll constantly evolve. The plan is that we'll have the service set up and fully running by this time next year in UHL, so any woman in the Midwest who's having a mastectomy can avail of it, and the ultimate goal is to see this rolled out nationally.
And it can't come soon enough. So that's it, a world first from Limerick. Back to you in Dublin.
Thank you very much, Helen. Well, first